Hello, my name is Wendy Martin, and this is my literature review presentation, Determining Online Readiness and the Potential for Success in Higher Level Education. With the advancements in technology coming at a rapid pace, so is the need to advance our knowledge, not only for self-improvement, but for many adult learners, it is the advance in the workforce. The diversity within learners of today has forced us to change the way we look at how we deliver instruction. This has made the option of online learning more prevalent. This literature review is the result of research into determining online readiness and the potential for success in higher level education students. There are 3 research questions to assist within this research. Those include looking at student characteristics to define online readiness, student satisfaction and the effect it has on success of the online learning experience, and should student assessments be given to identify online readiness. The results reveal that the characteristics of a student can influence online readiness if they are self-directed, are comfortable with technology, and have a level of self-preparedness. Those skills are a predictor of more successful outcome for those students through online learning. Student satisfaction plays a role in the success of the online learning experience because it leads to a more positive attitude regarding the learning experience and results in self-motivation, self-efficacy, and self-discipline regarding the lessons and activities. The use of assessment instruments in determining online readiness is an effective strategy, but more work and research is needed to refine as well as convince situations to adopt a protocol. Over the past 20 years, only 10 instruments have been developed and published. Online learning or e-learning is being offered at many higher level education institutions for earning a degree as well as certifications. This method for a more flexible form of learning allows the user to go beyond the traditional classroom. It provides an opportunity to personalize learning experiences and utilize provided resources from anywhere at any time. The main question is, can anyone be considered a successful candidate for this type of learning opportunity? Those students who enroll in online courses have varying levels of readiness and preparedness that influence their success. First, do certain student characteristics define online readiness? Before someone enrolls in a distance learning class, should they have basic computer skills, ability to motivate themselves? Are they willing to adhere to the expectations and activities required to get the work done? And are they willing to take ownership of their learning experience? Those are just a few characteristics that I feel are necessary in defining online readiness. Second, what role does the learner satisfaction play in the success of the online learning experience? If the learner is not feeling a connection with the material, instructor, or their peers, they may not feel that they are satisfied with the learning experience. This can affect not only their overall experience, but their success rate as well. Finally, should student assessments be given to identify online readiness? I think the assessment process plays a significant role in not only defining online readiness, but also allows a student to self-assess to better determine if they are a candidate for this type of experience. I think some people take advantage of the distance learning option due to its flexibility, but soon find that they are not cut out for what is required of them. This literature review is the result of research into student online readiness in higher level educational institutions and how and why both students and institutions should define online readiness to promote success through online learning. Data was collected from journals, articles, databases, and peer-reviewed papers to discover not only the learner characteristics needed, but also ways to assess what is needed to be successful from both the learner and institution perspectives. This study involved obtaining answers to 3 research questions regarding the topic of this review, which was to determine online readiness in college students. I assessed the JMU Library database online to locate at least 12 scholarly resources that consisted of peer-reviewed papers, journals, and articles which contained the information needed to assist with obtaining answers to those questions. From those resources, I was able to summarize a collection of results from previous studies, which allowed me to collect my findings regarding the topic and synthesize answers to those questions. Let's take a look at research question number 1. Do certain student characteristics define online readiness? Before someone enrolls in a distance learning class, should they have basic computer skills, ability to motivate themselves, is willing to adhere to the expectations and activities required to get the work done, and is willing to take ownership of their learning experience? Those are just a few characteristics that I feel are necessary in defining online readiness. Now let's take a look at the results or findings based on my research. Those students who enroll in online courses have varying levels of readiness and preparedness, such as online work skills proficiency and self-directedness, that likely influence their success in the grade or course completion area. The level of student preparedness with the use of computers, learning at their own pace, and their awareness of a learning community play a role in online readiness. When studies related to individual learner characteristics are reviewed, it should be acknowledged that findings on the effects of entry characteristics as a variable are inconclusive on learner experience in online education, and several studies showed that entry characteristics such as gender, age, or work status affect their online environment experiences differently with respect to performance, motivation, perceptions, and communication behaviors. Existing surveys of online student readiness focus on general learner characteristics such as self-directed learning, interpersonal communication skills, and academic locus of control, as well as basic technology skills such as email, word processing, and basic software knowledge. In 2016, Sigdum and Ozturk studied a group of 155 post-secondary military students who were taking a computer literacy course and compared the final course grades against the constructs of a survey which included the level of student motivation, self-efficacy, and self-directed learning. The researchers concluded that self-direction in online learning could strongly predict achievement. Indeed, the need for self-direction or self-management of learning runs clearly throughout the distance education and resource-based flexible learning literature, with Evans commenting that self-direction is a necessary prerequisite for effective resource-based learning in distance education and flexible delivery, while similar observations have been made by Calder and Warner. Now let's take a look at research question number 2. What role does learner satisfaction play in the success of the online learning experience? If the learner is not feeling a connection with the material, instructor, and/or peers, they may not feel that they are satisfied with the learning experience. This can affect not only their overall experience, but their success rate as well. Now let's look at the results or findings. Secondary institutions need to start considering the experiences of their students regarding online learning and the level of importance of the material to the student. This influences student satisfaction. One way to measure the success of a student's learning experience is to look at the factors that influence e-learning satisfaction. There are several factors deemed critical and can significantly impact a student's satisfaction level. These include students' anxiety about computers, the instructor's attitude towards e-learning, the quality of the course, the perceived benefit, and ease of usage and variety in assessments. Results from meta-analysis studies showed the same level of learner satisfaction with both online learning and the traditional method. Those studies also reflected no difference in student success levels between the two methods. Successful or satisfied online learners might have higher self-motivation, self-efficacy, positive attitudes towards technology, or self-discipline. Technological design plays an important role in students' perceived usefulness and ease of use of a course and will have an impact on student satisfaction. Flexibility is viewed as an important factor in e-learning satisfaction. One of many advantages of online education is its flexibility in which learners choose the most suitable learning methods to accommodate their needs. Paischer noted that student-instructor online interaction is an important factor influencing students' satisfaction in online learning environments. In 2005, McFarland and Hamilton discovered student satisfaction with the use of discussion boards, and they are seen as a key activity within online environments. In 2010, a study performed by Reeves and Osho determined that gender was not significant in the area of student satisfaction, and age in adult learners does not predict satisfaction and performance levels. Saheen and Shelley reported that students were most satisfied with online courses when they had the skills to use online tools and perceived online learning as a useful and flexible way of learning, communicating, and sharing. Should student assessments be given to identify online readiness? I think the assessment process plays a significant role in not only defining online readiness, but it also allows a student to self-assess to better determine if they are a candidate for this type of learning. I think some people take advantage of the distance learning option due to its flexibility, but soon find they are not cut out for what is required of them. This literature review is the result of research into student online readiness in higher level educational institutions and how and why both students and institutions should define online readiness to promote success through online learning. Let's take a look at the results or findings based on my research. Existing surveys of online student readiness focus on general learner characteristics such as self-directed learning, interpersonal communication skills, and academic locus of control, as well as basic technology skills. Let's look at a few of those assessments and their focus. In 1999, Madison-Dixon developed a survey to assess their students' interest in learning online as well as their students' readiness for distance education. The survey was directed at not only about their previous experience with distance education and their access to technology, but also about their plans to later enroll in an online course. The survey was comprised of questions in 3 areas, which included readiness of the student, students' access and ability with the use of technology, and the level of interest the student has in learning online. In the area of readiness, there were questions about students' self-direction, orientation to time, and preferences for feedback. It did not look at how the student perceives themselves regarding their skills and characteristics and their ability to reflect on self-efficacy in regard to online learning. The focus of this survey was more about access to and experience with the technology. Following Madison-Dixon was McVeigh, who developed a survey that measured readiness that focused on students' comfort with the basic skills and components of online learning, such as computer skills and discussion boards, and their independence as learners. Smith later investigated the reliability and validity of McVeigh's survey and determined that the instrument was reliable and resulted in a 2-factor structure, comfort with e-learning, and self-management of learning. However, there was additional research needed in the area of predicted validity, and later in 2005, Smith revisited McVeigh's instrument a second time, and the results were the same. Then in 2004, Bernard Brar developed a new survey expanding the original 13 items to 38 items in order to predict student online learning achievement, with 25 of the questions clustered around the following constructs: beliefs about distance education, confidence and prerequisite skills, self-direction and initiative, and desire for interaction. While Bernard improved upon McVeigh's efforts by incorporating student efficacy and technology within the questions, there is still room for improvement by identifying the user's attitude regarding engagement with information and communications technology. In 2006, Kerr developed their own instrument to assess student readiness for online learning by using the following existing instruments: Rosenberg's Self-Esteem Scale from 1965, Felder and Solomon's Index of Learning Styles from 1991, Terabin, Kerr, and Reinerstein's Metacognitive Readiness Strategies Questionnaire, both 2000 and 2004, Schei's Academic Intrinsic Motivation Questionnaire from 1998, and Trice's Academic Locus of Control Scale from 1985. Their initial survey consisted of the following subscales: computer skills, independent learning, need for online learning, academic skills, and dependent learning. In 2010, Hung developed the Online Learning Readiness Scale. This 5-point Likert scale consisted of 18 items and 5 factors, consisting of computer internet self-efficacy, self-directed learning, learner control, motivation for learning, and online communication self-efficacy. Thus, the total number of dimensions or factors used to measure readiness for online learning is 44. The longer tool containing more items is that of Kerr with 45 items, and the shorter is that of Smith with 12 items. As for relevance, this information is valuable for not only the institutions that have adopted online learning, but the students who opt to enroll in those courses. The importance of knowing what plays a role in the success of the online learner should be reviewed and analyzed to gain a better understanding of what strategies and support should be made available to students. Implications. Unfortunately, as of 2016, no well-controlled studies have evaluated how well these surveys actually predict differential performance in online versus face-to-face courses, or what effect the administration of such surveys has on subsequent student decisions to enroll in online courses. That brings us to conclusions. The results of my findings validate that student characteristics and student satisfaction do play a role in online readiness and ultimately determine the ability of the learner to have a better chance to successfully complete courses through online learning. While over the past 20 years, only 10 instruments have been developed and published, and only a few demonstrated good psychometric qualities, I do think that student assessments provide the student with a chance to self-reflect on their characteristics and skills while completing the survey. This activity will assist them with making the decision as to whether or not they are a fit for online learning. As for the institution, the results of the survey can provide some general predictions and allow them to implement strategies to assist with retention rates and to prevent dropouts for a more successful outcome. As more institutions adopt online learning, more research is needed to refine the instruments used for assessments that have more psychometric qualities.